pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You got that picture?
So approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Do roll call, Mr. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Jang,
Aye.
Mr. Hanrahan,
Aye.
Mr. Adams.
Mick Adams?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Nick
that's
Adams.
all right. Well, I was in the audience last time, but yes, I approve it.
And Mr. Canbro.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Craig, may we have the first case, please?
Yes, sir. We have one case tonight. It's 4-22-A. The applicant is Brian Sparks, and it's located at 3991 Youngman Lane. The applicant is requesting that the Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals grant a variance to Section 801.5 for the permission to waive the paving requirements for a driveway in the R1 single-family residential district. The subject property is located on the western side of Youngman Drive in the northeastern sector of Union Township. Some background information: the applicant's property totals 0.46 acres and is zoned R1. Currently, there's one accessory structure on the property under 120 square feet. The applicant once had a larger accessory building totaling 576 square feet that was demolished due to a fire. The applicant now wishes to rebuild the accessory building back to the same size without the paving requirement. Since the structure was not rebuilt within the 2-year time frame after destruction, the non-conforming gravel use can no longer be permitted, resulting in the applicant's application. After reviewing the proposed variance request submitted by the applicant, the following observations can be made. The proposed driveway does not appear to impede light or air to the surrounding properties, nor does it appear to cause greater water runoff to its surrounding. The hardship for the variance requested is self-imposed, as the time frame to rebuild the existing structure has passed. However, the applicant is requesting the minimum to bring the property back to its once existing conditions. The proposed variance does allow for the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted within the underlying zoning district, as the zoning code prohibits gravel, and the applicant may present a special circumstance as the structure was destroyed by a fire, no fault to their own, and now they wish to return the property to its original condition. Our zoning inspector was out on the property today and noted some zoning issues that he found, some being the unlicensed boat trailer, Jeep Wrangler, and a pop-up camper. There's also additional items such as car, engine, tires, washer, dryer, refrigerator, car parts, tools, 55-gallon barrel, and other debris that was located on the property. The action required tonight is to approve, modify, or deny the applicant's request for variance in case number 4-22-A, requesting relief from Section 801.5 the zoning resolution, thereby waiving the paving requirements for an access drive to the accessory building in the R1 single-family district as submitted based on evidence, testimonies, and finding of fact. And that concludes the report.
Thank you. Is there anybody in favor of the application? If so, please step forward and be sworn in, please, and state your name and spell it for the record.
I'm Brian Sparky.
Okay. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give be the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Brian Sparky, Bryan Sparke. I am the owner and resident of the property and in question here. And I am also applying for the variance. At this time, I am requesting this variance due to the fact of unforeseen circumstances at the time. I am aware that I am past the 2-year mark, and unfortunately at the time of the fire I was going through chemotherapy myself, and I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in my face, so it was several months after the fire had happened myself that I was really able to gain any kind of collect everything together and start the process. And then when I did start this process, I was not fully aware at first that I did need to reach out to the township first. This is my first project of this nature that I had to deal with according to the fire and everything. Obviously, we don't all naturally deal with that. And a step had got skipped when I had spoke to Clermont County building department first to get the permit from them to put the building back up. They had neglected to mention the fact that I needed to speak to you guys first. And then, you know, through the steps of the process, I was taking time and getting stuff together for them, and I went to turn in the application. And when I did, they stated that I needed to speak to you. Now, this all being said, after the course of coming back from the cancer, I did get back to work, and, you know, it's kind of stuck at catch-22 really there myself when the pandemic hit, because I was really unsure of which way to go. I had a mortgage company that was withholding the funds for the building at that time. They were trying to work with me, but obviously there was some situations with the mortgage company that I was dealing with personally at that time, and that had to be dealt with. But they had a different method that they had chosen to take with me at that time. After quite some time, and after the pandemic had finally released its big realm on all of us, I started reaching back out, and I started pressuring the mortgage company very heavily. At that time, I did finally get through to them, and they decided to review my case again. And that came down to the fact, this is what I'm looking at here, on July 29th of 2021, they finally released the funds to really complete the process here. And obviously at that time when that happened, I was aware that we were, you know, nearing the 2-year mark for everything, and I wasn't actually sure that there was a 2-year limit on that myself at that time. At the time that I had got that, I had paid for the building and immediately reached back out to Clermont County, got the rest of the paperwork together, went and turned in the paperwork, and that's when they said, hey, you guys you need to talk to them first. You need to have this permit before we even allow you we even look over your stuff for our permit. This is when I started gathering information for you guys, and I figured out what I had to do to turn in a permit for Union Township, and came and turned it in, and now I'm all the way down to the point where, you know, honestly at this point I am trying to replace the building that was lost at the time of, and the biggest thing is I was sick at the time. So the sick and the pandemic is really the two largest things of the situation that impeded the extra time in that situation. And then obviously the mortgage company, it was a very abrupt thing with them. I had spoke with them on several occasions, trying to deal with getting the rest of, they wanted inspections to be done and everything else, but trying to have these people come out to do this, and you try to schedule things. I was trying to schedule people to come in, and some people weren't just simply showing up at that time. There was a lot of different things that were playing into that situation there alone. And then I do understand, I did hear that the zoning inspector was at my property today, and I am, you know, well aware that there is some things that do need attended to on my property. And you know, I would more than gratefully want to address all these and clean up the rest of my residence again. Obviously, I'm at 3 years at this point without a garage at my residence, and you know, I mean, I do have things, and I do have some projects that I kind of got myself in the middle of over the course of the time that I wish I could finish. But, you know, really not having a garage and working outside in the weather and everything is not really, you know, something that I can perform as well as I used to because of my health conditions that I'm currently with anymore. You know, I've had a lot of different changes in my life from that alone, unfortunately. So, I am aware that maybe some of these things could incur fines on me, and, you know, I would hope that that would not come to that at that point, because at this current situation, I am just trying to get the building back up and get everything back in order, because obviously, you know, we all wouldn't want neighbors that probably look like me right now with a bunch of stuff sitting around that can't be put away. And that's basically why I'm requesting the variance to be granted due to all the circumstances at hand in that situation. And that's all I have to say, sir.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay, anybody else that would like to speak for? Come on up, be sworn in and state your name and spell, please. Testimony you're about to give, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, state your name.
My name is Ryan Wayford, Ryanwaford.
Thank you.
I'm a neighbor, right next door to Brian here. Yeah, I can't go back on the story enough. Like he said, when his garage burned down, he was going through cancer. I mean, it whittled him down to pretty much nothing. I mean, he lost nothing. He's half of the guy that he is. I don't really know about what all it entails to put in a driveway. I mean, he's been trying to get this done for years. When his garage burned down, St. Patty's Day morning, I know because I could feel the heat coming off the garage with the window open, and you know, it burned down. Me and one of his friends, another older guy, much older gentleman, for the next 3 months, I took off work to help him get all of the wood, get his yard. I mean, it was a raging inferno. He lost all of his tools. He is a mechanic. He's a great diesel mechanic. Thank God that it didn't burn the rest of the way. The fire department got there. I mean, drop of a hat. Thank God for him. You know, thank him for the service. They tried to take care of what they could with him. Again, he could only work so much. And I didn't realize the complications that came with having a garage built. You know, him telling me year after year, I'm thinking, there's something's wrong here. There's got to be something. And, you know, he can stress to me about misinformation. It happens. Sometimes you get a little bit more information than you need. Sometimes you don't get enough. And with his case, I feel like me and the other neighbor here, I speak for a handful of people that cannot be here. It is a church night. So I know a few people across from us got letters. They are much older. I mean, if they could make it here, they'd probably fall asleep before they could get up and testify. But I do speak for them, and Brian is a good guy. Again, I can't tell you to just waive what is. I'm not an engineer. The things in his yard, they don't really bother a lot of people. That's not up for me to decide. I came generally to speak on his behalf that we don't mind the noise, whatever it has to be done. We just kind of would like to, you know, make it expedite it, speed it up for his sake. Because he, you know, again, he's a mechanic. I'd like to see some of the things in the garage. I have too much stuff in the garage, and we have another car that's tagged, and, you know, it's legit. But I understand his plight, you know, he has, where can he put it? So, and also, in lieu of that, the people at the end of our road, which I'm not bringing them into this, they have a gravel driveway where they bring heavy equipment and stuff. They own their air conditioning company, something like that. So I don't really, again, understand if the gravel is the issue, or what, can I ask a question, possibly get an answer? Is the gravel an issue, or does it have to be, because that house has sat empty, let's see, I've lived there since 2008. It's passed through 4 people, him being the 4th, and the gravel driveway has sat there forever. Now, obviously, the garage did not burn down, but I didn't know, does it matter if it's gravel and then put a garage on it, or is it?
You can't put a gravel drive in today if you were building that new. And that's grandfathered in.
Oh, okay.
And it's still grandfathered in as long as it was rebuilt within the 2 years.
2 years.
He can still keep the gravel driveway.
Oh, so there's
The only problem is
time
it's outside of the 2 years. If
Yeah.
you rebuild at this point, then you have to bring it up to current code. Current code states it has to be paved.
What, concrete, blacktop?
Any
Just as
hard
long as it's
surface.
paved, huh?
Yeah, any
Correct.
hard surface.
Yeah, well, I can give him my best shot for you, but you know, that is the way it is. So I won't keep you long. Just want to get that out there too. Thank you guys for doing a great job in the township. Everything's great. The police are great. Fire is great. And EMS is even better. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, anybody else wants to testify for? Come on up, sworn in. Testimony you're about to give is truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, state your name.
My name is Brad Schroeder. I live at 3995 Youngman Drive, so I am Brian's neighbor to the opposite side of Brian. So the 3 of us are all in a row with Brian in the center. I received a letter asking if I had an opinion about giving Brian a variance, and I do, and I think that we should go ahead and give him the variance to allow the gravel to stay. Just as Ryan had said, I've been living at my house the same amount of time that Ryan's been living at his. It's passed through 4 different owners. It's been bank owned. It's been used as a rental property. No one has ever been expected to fix the gravel driveway now. I know that for as long as that garage has been burned down, I've heard Brian, and he's told me about the efforts he's made to try to get everything straightened out with different companies and organizations and regulatory bodies to try to get that garage put back in place. I understand that his occupation is that of a mechanic, and as a result, it's also what he does with a lot of his personal time, and obviously a garage is something that he wants. That a lot of the stuff that's going on his property is something that would become contained and less of a problem if the garage was back up, and if there are things that he can forego to get to the garage element of his repair his property faster, I think it would benefit him and the rest of us. And I really don't personally have any reason to, want to see him working on other areas like his driveway, which has been like that for 15 years, to be able to get back to working on his garage and getting that where he wants it to be. So you know, if the opinion from the neighbors is important, that mine is, I would like you guys to help him move forward with this as quickly as he can. And if the driveway is an impediment, I'm not looking for him to change it. I'm fine with what he's got going on if it helps him get going on this project faster.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to speak for? Anybody who wants to speak in opposition? Okay. Discussion of the board?
I got a question for the gentleman. Just unlicensed boat and trailer park, I mean, how long is that in your car? Has it been like unlicensed? And if you have this garage, where are these going? Are they going in the garage?
Unfortunately, at the time.
Step up to the
the
podium.
mic real quick? That's all
Oh,
right.
that's all right.
Like the boat and the camper in particular, there's something that I need to actually dig back into this year. Myself, when I reach back to my birthday this August, that I'm gonna, get the rest of my things tagged then. Obviously with, unfortunately being laid off and a lot of different things, there was some things that had to be put on hold for the meantime that I figured that, most things I would like to try to focus on the garage. Most of the time, everything, I try to keep everything tagged. The boat that I have, I do have a picture here if you guys like to see it, but the boat that I did own was actually unfortunately burned next to the garage, and I've acquired another one at this point, and I haven't re-tagged that vehicle or the trailer yet because of the fact that the plan was to get it in the garage, get the new one back up in order, and then I was gonna tag everything then and put everything back to use. But unfortunately, with the garage not being there, that's impeding a lot of things getting done in an orderly manner for me.
So where would you put these things? There's a lot of stuff here that.
Well, for
just-
the one, I actually do have 2 vehicles that I regularly drive. The Jeep is more or less probably leaving here very soon of my nature. I don't really plan on keeping that very long. That was just more or less acquired through a buddy giving that to me to try to help me out, and it didn't really pan out on putting that vehicle back on the road. So I do have to do something with that one. Obviously, I have mowers and stuff that I would like to get back into the garage. I do understand there are a lot of things. The engine that's sitting on my back porch is actually going to be leaving here soon. There's a pickup truck that I had acquired that's actually up in my shop, and that needs to go there. And I am aware of these things. Just obviously, like I said, I've been trying to focus all my extra time on getting all this information together on all that. And really, with even more things that might be sitting in the yard, I've been spending the past few weeks myself too, because obviously, I didn't want to look completely terrible myself trying to reach out to you guys and get the rest of this handled. So I spent the better part of the past month, removing things that the washer and dryer and stuff that he mentioned in there that's sitting on a trailer that I usually use to recycle metal with. Sometimes I do have some things like that, but I do try to keep it contained to sitting on a little trailer. back in the back of my yard, behind a fence, you know, nobody really sees anything back there. And most of all, you know, I mean, I do understand that, you know, there's still more things that do need to be cleaned up, and I do plan on that. And I don't know if anybody has got to see the property within, when I first filed the appeal to now, but, you know, there's a huge difference there alone. And the camper, it gets re-tagged here real soon. It's that season, you know, I just, like I said, I kind of had to put a few things aside when the country opened back up and get all my tags back in order and stuff. I do use almost all the vehicles often. You know, I'm a mechanic. I kind of like having options, you know.
I got just two last questions. One,
Yes, sir.
you don't do business there, right?
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
that's
sir.
one. And the other is, can I ask how it burnt down? I mean,
It was a wood burning stove, had actually had a failure of the dampener in the pipe, and it had made it through, and I'm assuming at that point, that's when the wall got to ignite at that point. And then when it had happened, I was up late that evening, you know, I was in the garage I had really weird hours that I was actually sleeping then, because once I had a chemo treatment, it was 7 to 14 days till I actually felt kind of normal again. So I might have been up at midnight or something then, and I was, and it was colder that time. I had a wood burning stove in there. So of course I'm putting that to use, but I thought I had set everything up proper for me to go lay down, and unfortunately at that time I didn't.
Gotcha.
So kind of an embarrassment, considering my father worked for Union Township Fire Department for 25 years. So yeah, so everybody had to get on me, including Stan, Mr. Chief over there. He told me, "Bird, what are you doing, son?" So
Well, thanks for the info.
thank you very much for your time tonight, fellas, and all your service.
Did you look at the, that was, yeah, okay, so, I have a question about section 260. So because of section 260, and I don't think this has ever come into play up to this point, can we make a decision to approve, modify, or deny this case with the stipulations of section 260 being eradicated prior to any permits being given if it was to be approved?
I don't think you can eradicate it. I think you could waive any penalties or.
But you try to, I mean, this would have to be dealt with prior to, before
you can build.
you build.
Yeah. I
So
think
is-
we can make it a condition that the provisions of 260 be waived. Because eradicate has a different meaning.
You talking about, Tom, you talking about the fine or
I wouldn't say that, I would say he needs to,
basically
he needs to comply.
Right.
Before the permit can be given, even if we approve, correct?
Oh, okay,
Yeah. Do you know, or,
okay.
Do
You
you
know
know
what
what I mean?
260 is?
Like this has to be dealt with, right? I mean, these were from the photographs that were taken today for the,
yeah.
so if that's the case, then these are non-compliant issues.
Yeah.
So these have to be, these need to be made compliant through section
Yeah.
260 before
I
our
got you
approval
now.
can take effect.
You said eradicate, I thought you meant
Right.
get rid of.
No.
Yeah. I would
No, he
concur
needs
with
to-
that.
Yeah,
The violation, he needs to
Yeah.
eradicate violation charges.
yeah,
Is that correct?
I would say, yeah.
that you would have,
You can make that a condition of the motion, if it's
Right.
approved.
what's that? I mean, what do we,
That he has to bring this into compliance prior to getting the permit if this is
Clean up the
approved.
property.
but there's no fine. We'd
Well,
still have
that's
to.
not up to us.
That's not up, yeah, that's.
Ah.
We can't.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
So then how do we feel about the driveway? I'm on, you know, we're at a year extra. I'd give them the variance. But, I mean, how do you guys feel? Or do you want to do part of it paved, not the whole thing, or do you want the whole thing? I mean, where do you guys stand on that?
I know in the past we've done
Can't
an
give him the
apron.
variance till he,
Right, until, yeah.
till he takes care of the rest of that stuff.
Right,
We
but
can give him the variance with the
Condition that,
condition that he take care of the other stuff first.
Yeah.
but he's saying what about the gravel issue? Like, do you wanna see an apron? Do you wanna just leave it all gravel?
Well, we did an apron several years ago. Remember that, Tom?
Yep.
Yeah, I would buy into an apron, you know, coming
I
out.
guess I'd be willing to go for that. My concern with this was that, you know, other than that property that's at the very end of the street, his property is the only one who doesn't have any kind of paved driveway on the whole street.
That's true.
That's true.
But I feel like if this was done 2 years ago, he wouldn't even be
Right,
here.
yeah.
If he would've made it within the time frame, we wouldn't even have a decision on any of it.
You got two neighbors that, right and left. And I know what Tom's saying, I'm kind of, you know, either way, but then the neighbors showed up and they didn't really have an issue with it. Because I always try to, if you guys didn't show up, I'd always try to look at, you know, if I lived next to you, what would I like? And stuff like that. And I got different views, but they're.
Or I got 400-foot gravel driveway.
Right. You do. But anyway, I mean, that's just, I think we need to have the thing cleaned up or something like that. That's what I'm
Well,
thinking.
that would have to be read into the, like whatever's decided, that would have to be taken care of first before any permits were given through the office, correct? Do we agree with that?
Yeah, I'd
Yes.
say so, yes.
Sounds like you're ready to make a motion.
I would have to, I gotta write this out. Unless you can write faster than I can. But that still doesn't. I mean, do you wanna see an apron in front of the garage? Do you wanna do nothing? Do you wanna see an apron off the street? Leave it at the garage and put it at the, that's a whole different idea.
I guess the whole purpose is not to have gravel come out on the road.
Yeah.
So.
Correct, curb
So
cut.
maybe you don't do an apron at the garage, maybe you do a.
You do it, I've seen where I've seen in the township before where they do, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, was 60 feet? What is the 30 feet? What is
30
it?
foot is what we
30.
did last time.
30
Okay.
foot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's been done before.
Yeah. And I don't know what hardship that creates. I mean, it's an additional cost to them, but, I mean, let's, you know, if we could meet somewhere on this.
Yeah. Middle ground. I mean, I was kind of, I was like, paved the whole thing, and then after listening to two neighbors and that, I agree with that, like, let's do the 30 feet off the curb back 30 feet, and do the cleanup and stuff like that, that's what I think, that's my opinion.
I could go with that.
Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion?
I gotta write it out if I'm ready.
Okay.
Talk slow.
a condition that all the current zoning violations are.
What do we, up to date, what do we call that? In compliance?
Yeah. Brought into compliance.
Like paved or hard surface,
Yeah.
apron.
Called Township.
Of 30 feet. 20 feet, 30 feet.
30.
30 from the edge of the pavement.
Is there a need to put like a time frame on this?
There already is.
There already is.
There
What
is.
is it, 1 year? Yeah.
In the zoning resolution, there's it's gotta be done within a certain period of time.
Yeah, what is that, you know? Anybody know?
Craig, is it 1 year?
Isn't it
Yeah.
1 year?
1 year, okay.
And if somebody gets into a bind, they sometimes can be granted an extension, am I right or not?
You-
believe
You
so.
you have to get started within the year.
Okay,
So as
within
long as
that
there's-
year, okay,
yes.
okay,
Otherwise, you gotta come back
yeah,
Right.
to us.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's request for variance in case 4-22-A, requesting relief from section 801.5 of the zoning resolution, thereby waiving the paving requirements for an access drive to an accessory building in an R1 single-family residential district, with the condition that all current zoning violations are in compliance before any permits are granted, and that the apron is paved 30 feet from the edge of the pavement into the property, as submitted based on evidence, testimony, and findings of fact.
I'll second that.
Do a roll call, Mr. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Jank,
Aye.
Mr. Hanrahan,
Aye.
Mr. McAdams,
Aye.
and Mr. Cangrove.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, do you understand what we just did?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, can we make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any other business for the board?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you. We'll get there eventually, yeah.
Do we need a roll call for being adjourned?
What?
Didn't roll call or adjourn?
Oh, you roll call or adjourn?
Roll call, Mr. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. Jank,
Aye.
Mr. McAdams,
Aye.
Mr. Hanrahan,
Aye.
and Mr. Cangrove.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:33.
You can also go by everybody's.